Welcome back to another deep dive. I want to start today by asking you a question. How many times, just this week, have you heard the acronym AI?
Oh, wow.
In a Zoom meeting, on LinkedIn, maybe in an email subject line promising to, revolutionize your workflow?
If I had a rand for every time I heard it this week, I'd probably be retired on a nice little vineyard in Stellenbosch by now. It's everywhere.
It is absolutely relentless. We're just drowning in the
It's
buzzword.
transformation, this, generative, that.
Exactly. But today, we're hitting the brakes. We are stripping away the flashy demos, the sales pitches, and all the sci-fi promises.
Getting back to reality.
We are. We're digging into a piece by Johan Steyn titled From Hype to Harvest, Mastering South African AI Execution.
And I have to say, right off the bat, I love that title, From Hype to Harvest.
It resonates, doesn't it?
It really does. It feels like permission to finally stop, clapping at the fireworks and ask, okay, the show is over, but how do we actually farm this land?
It's a very grounding perspective. And for those tuning in who might not know, Johan Steyn isn't just a casual commentator.
No, not at all.
He's a heavy hitter in this space. A thought leader, a speaker, someone who is really deep in the intersection of business, ethics, and AI right here in South Africa. So when he writes something like this, he's in the arena.
Exactly. He's seeing the disconnect firsthand, and the core tension he identifies right at the start of his article is, well, it's fascinating. He says South Africa is overflowing with confidence and enthusiasm about AI.
Which feels true, right?
Yeah,
We love a bit of tech optimism here. We want to be at the cutting edge.
you do.
Yeah.
But then he pairs that observation with a really harsh reality check. While the confidence is high, the actual delivery is severely lacking.
And that is the dangerous gap. It's like buying the expensive gym membership and posting about it versus, actually waking up at 5 a.m. to do the deadlifts.
That is a perfect analogy. Stein's argument, and really our mission for this deep dive, is to review why not being left behind is a terrible strategy if you don't have the discipline to back it up.
Okay, so let's shift from belief to execution.
That's it. To the unglamorous, messy, often frustrating work of actually doing it.
So let's unpack this idea he calls the confidence trap. Because I feel like every CEO or manager I talk to is confident. They have the vision. They want to be AI first.
But Steyn is pretty blunt about it. He says confidence is not the same as capability.
A classic case of not knowing what you don't know.
I think so. The barrier to entry for playing with AI is basically zero now. You sign up for ChatGPT, you type a prompt, and boom, magic happens. It creates this false sense of competence.
Right. If I can write a poem in 5 seconds, surely I can automate our entire supply chain in a week.
Precisely. And Stan references a really sharp point from Carla Rue in the Daily Maverick. She said that South Africa's constraint isn't belief. We believe. The real constraint is follow through.
Follow through. That feels like a specific call out to corporate culture sometimes. We love the kickoff meeting with the pastries and the whiteboard, but maybe not the 6-month grind that follows.
It's the operational muscle that's missing. And Steyn frames this brilliantly by looking at the evolution of AI adoption. He says we're leaving what he calls phase 1, or the early wave.
Okay, walk us through that. What did the early wave look like?
Think back just a couple years. This was the chatbot era. Minimal disruption. You put a bot on your website to answer FAQs.
Right.
It was a standalone tool. If it gave a weird answer, it was funny.
It was a meme. Look what the bot said.
Exactly. It was a disappointing demo. No one got fired. The stock price didn't crash. It was low stakes.
But Steyn says we aren't there anymore.
No, we are moving into phase 2, embedded AI. And this is where things get real.
Okay.
We're talking about always-on systems making decisions about creditworthiness, fraud detection, logistics, you name it.
So if the AI messes up here, it's not a meme.
No, it's a lawsuit. It's a fine. It's millions in lost revenue. Steyn classifies this as operational risk.
And that's the aha moment.
That's it. Trying AI is easy. But depending on AI, building your business logic on top of it is incredibly dangerous if you haven't built the foundation.
It seems like we've moved from AI as a toy to AI as infrastructure, but we're still kind of treating it like a toy.
Correct.
So let's talk about that foundation, because Steyn doesn't just say it's hard and leave it there. He points out the predictable places where execution fails. What's the biggest one?
The first one is unsexy, it's tedious, and it is absolutely critical: data.
Of course.
Steyn points out that most organizations have what he calls messy data estates.
Messy data estates. That's a very polite way of saying digital hoarding.
It is essentially digital hoarding. Think about a typical large South African company. They've got data in mainframes from the 90s, spreadsheets on desktops from employees who left 5 years ago.
Duplicates, empty fields, the works.
Exactly. And now they want to plug a super intelligent AI into that mess. You can't build a sophisticated model on a SMORP if you don't know who owns the data or if it's even legal to use. You're stuck before you start.
Okay, so step one, clean your room. You can't invite the guests over until the house is clean. What's next?
The operating model. This is about where AI lives in the company. Steyn argues that for too long, AI has been treated as a side project. You give it to the innovation guy with the beanbag chair.
The Skunkworks team, they operate outside the rules to move fast.
Which is fine for a demo, but for embedded AI, it fails. If AI isn't integrated into the actual workflows of finance or HR, it never scales. It stays a cool toy. It has to move from the edge to the core.
Which brings us to the third hurdle, and this one sounds a bit more ominous, risk, and something he calls shadow AI.
This sounds like a sci-fi villain, doesn't it? But it's actually much more mundane.
What is it?
Shadow AI is just when employees use unauthorized public AI tools to do their work because the internal ones are too slow or just don't exist.
So this is the marketing manager copying a confidential strategy document and pasting it into a public chatbot to ask for a summary.
Exactly. Please summarize the strictly confidential roadmap. Click. And now that data is potentially training a public model.
Right.
And this behavior connects to what Steyn calls the governance paradox.
I love a good paradox. Break it down for us.
Well, usually leaders see governance, compliance, legal risk checks as the brakes. It slows us down.
Right. We want to innovate, but legal won't let us.
Steyn flips that completely. He says, and this is a quote, "Your AI strategy is not a strategy if governance is an afterthought."
So the brakes actually let you drive faster.
Yes, because you know where the guardrails are. You have confidence. Without clear governance, projects don't just explode. They do something worse. Steyn says they drift, duplicate, and fail quietly.
Fail quietly. That's actually terrifying in a business context, just a slow bleed of budget and energy.
It creates what business tech, which Steyn references, calls pilot purgatory.
Oh, that is a great term. Pilot purgatory.
It's this tragic state where a company has 20 different AI pilots running. They're all promising, but none of them ever graduate to production. They just circle the airport forever because there's no landing strip.
You mentioned infrastructure, and that leads us to a part of the article that I found really surprising. Usually, AI infrastructure feels weightless, like code and cloud storage. But Stan brings up the physics of AI.
This is the hidden layer that almost nobody talks about in the hype cycle. We forget that the cloud is a physical place. It's a building full of servers, and those servers are incredibly hungry.
And this is where the South African context really smacks us in the face, isn't it? Power.
Exactly. Stan cites an article that warns about this collision. On one hand, you have this exponential demand for compute. On the other, you have South Africa's energy reality. We aren't exactly swimming in surplus electricity.
It's a simple equation. You can't have always-on AI if the lights aren't always on.
And it's not just electricity, it's cooling too. These chips get incredibly hot. They need massive amounts of water and cooling. And Steyn points out this isn't just a local issue. He references a report about Europe, specifically Belgium.
Wait, even Europe is struggling with this.
Yes. Regulators there are debating if data centers are taking too much power from other sectors. But for South Africa, the stakes are different. Steyn frames this as a national competitiveness question.
How so?
Well, if we can't guarantee the power needed for high-end compute, we simply can't compete. The data centers get built somewhere else. The innovation happens somewhere else.
That's heavy. It means execution isn't just about hiring coders. It's about energy policy. It turns an IT problem into a national strategy problem.
Which dovetails perfectly into the implications for the public sector. Because if private businesses are struggling, imagine the challenge for government.
And government is the custodian of our most sensitive data. Health records, education, IDs.
Steyn uses very strong language here, and I think it's warranted. He argues that weak execution in the public sector isn't just inefficient, it's a child safety issue.
Wow. That puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
Explain that connection. How do we get from bad data to child safety?
Think about the systems that manage social welfare or healthcare. If you deploy an AI there without rigorous controls, and it hallucinates, makes up a fact, or leaks private data, you are affecting the most vulnerable people.
Right.
You can't just release a software patch to fix a leaked identity or a denied grant for a family that needs food. The consequences are human. They are, as he puts it, hard to unwind.
That creates a moral imperative for execution. We can't just move fast and break things when things are essential public services.
Absolutely. And then shifting to the economic view, there's the workforce. IT Online highlighted hiring concerns, but Steyn flips the usual narrative.
Usual narrative being robots are coming for our jobs.
Right. But Steyn suggests the immediate risk isn't just job loss, it's a skills vacuum that leads to a trap. He calls it importing solutions while exporting value.
That's a phrase that stuck with me. Unpack that for us.
Okay, so if South Africa doesn't invest in the practical delivery skills, the people who build and maintain these systems, we become purely consumers. We just buy licenses from American or Chinese tech giants.
We pay the subscription fee.
We pay the fee, we send our rands overseas, but we don't build any intellectual property here. We don't own the engine. We're just renting the car.
We become a digital colony, essentially.
That is the risk. We get the hype, the cool chatbots, but we don't get the harvest. The harvest, the wealth, the IP goes to the people who built the engines.
That's a sobering thought. So how do we stop paying rent? Steyn wraps up with advice for leaders. He says we need to stop treating AI as a procurement event.
Right. Stop acting like you're buying a printer. You don't just sign a purchase order and walk away. He says you must treat AI as an organizational change program.
What does that look like on a Tuesday morning?
It means you have to answer the hard questions before you buy the software. Which business process is changing? Who will be trained to manage it? Who is responsible when it makes a mistake? If you can't answer those, you aren't executing. You're just experimenting.
And that distinction, experimentation versus execution, is really the heartbeat of this whole deep dive.
It is. Steyn is holding up a mirror to the South African tech ecosystem. He's acknowledging that we have the enthusiasm, we have the G's, as we'd say, but enthusiasm doesn't clean data. Discipline does.
We need to do the push-ups. We can't just buy the gym gear.
Exactly. We need data readiness, security protocols, and we need to be honest about our constraints, like the power grid and design around them.
Because if we don't...
What's the worst case scenario?
If we don't, Steyn warns that AI won't be a great lever for productivity. It'll just be a massive waste of capital.
He had a really provocative quote at the very end of the piece. It's a haunting image. He says, if we don't master execution, we will be left with a country full of pilots, a trail of vendor invoices, and very little to show for it. A trail of vendor invoices. That really hits home. It's the ghost of digital transformations past. The expensive software that sits on the shelf.
It really forces you to look at your own desk, doesn't it?
It does.
If you're listening to this right now, look at the AI initiative in your strategy deck. Ask yourself, are you building the governance? Are you cleaning the data, or are you just contributing to the hype?
It's the difference between having a hobby and having a business strategy.
A huge thanks to Johan Steyn for the reality check. The article is From Hype to Harvest, and honestly, as a review, it's a must-read for anyone in South Africa trying to navigate this landscape.
Couldn't agree more. It's a sobering read, but an inspiring one if you take the challenge seriously.
That is it for this deep dive. We will catch you next time. Stay curious, but more importantly, start executing.
Goodbye, everyone.